What's going on, everybody? I hope you're having an unbelievable week. It's Justin Jackson here once again. Why are former players okay with being critical of fellow players and not the coaches? That was a great question that was brought to my attention, and I think we need to dive into it a little bit. As a player, I was always somebody that put the onus on the players the majority of the time. If I make a decision within a game, a lot of times it might be a split decision or an adjustment that I see based off of how the defense is playing me or how the offense that I'm guarding is running or what they like to do. A lot of times that's not something that's being coached from the sideline. A lot of times it's just a decision, an instinct that a player uses on the floor. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think when I look at this team, there is a lot of times that those kind of decisions seem to happen. And whether right or wrong, it's the player's decision to do it because of what they're seeing in front of them on the court in that particular time. I think when I come to the accountability aspect of things, I like to look at the bigger picture. I always say it, let's look at the bigger picture. So, under Coach Davis in his first year, he made it to the national championship game and lost by 3. If it wasn't for maybe, at times a lack of depth and exhaustion and players being tired, they had a very, very good chance of winning a national championship in his first year. So then you go to the second year, a bad year, misses the tournament. Third year, they lose in the Sweet 16 to Alabama by 2, in which Alabama goes on to lose in the Final Four to the eventual national champions, UConn, who was the clear cut best team in college basketball that year. Now you go to this current year. They're currently 13 and 10, 6 and 5 in ACC play. Tournament lives are in jeopardy at the current moment. And so you look at certain things that we've hit on multiple times this year. The roster limitations, not really having a real big presence on the inside, not having shooting. Currently, they're shooting 32% from 3 overall as a team. And when people start to talk about this team, it seems to me that it always goes back to the head coach. And that's just kind of sports. That's fans, the passion that they have. But why is the accountability not being held across the board, right? When we sit here and we say we need a new coach, the coach isn't doing a good job, and we need this and we need that. Did the transfer portal hurt us last summer? 100%. And the accountability, I think, is there. And I think it will continue to be there. I think this next summer, you will see a totally different approach and you will see a totally new team going into next year that will be built totally different. But when you say that Coach Davis isn't the right man for the job, well, let's look at the guys that are on the floor as well that are making the decisions. Now, I've been a former player. I'll never forget my freshman and even sophomore year when I would have a bad game, I'd come back to, my phone and I'd go on social media and I'd have, direct messages and things like that from fans who, would say outlandish things, right? But the things that were being said a lot of times were the things that motivated me to go out and get better and to eventually have the success that I had and win a national championship with my brothers in 2017. So when a player has a thought on something that they've just watched in a game, a lot of times it comes from experience, right? So if I watch something in a game and I say something about it, usually it's because I've been in that same situation many times and I know the right and the wrong thing that I did within that time and how it ended up for us. So I think I would rather sit here and say, anytime former players talk about fellow players, it's never a situation of just completely trying to disrespect the players, trying to make them feel worse about themselves. A lot of times it's just coming from what we see and what we have seen to work in our experience of playing basketball at the highest level. And also, hopefully, to kind of motivate the players. There's never a time when, if I were to ever say anything, that it'd be disrespectful or me trying to come at a player for the play that they've had. It's the standard that us as North Carolina and the Carolina family that is so strong has always had. And so when former players talk about current players or fellow players in the past, it's through the lens of that Carolina family and the standard and the accountability that we all have gone through since being there. So I think when you look at that question and when you look at this team as a whole and the question marks and things like that, I love to look at the bigger picture. And I also love to see accountability across the board, not just on one side.